Well, the Lagunitas?
Please.
What did you call it?
The tropical IPA.
Oh, that's just it from Lagunta. So I was like, Karl, I'll fucking kill you.
Now, there's another thing, too, we should have talked about. We have in the past.
Killing Karl?
Lagunitas sold half their shares for $500 million.
Oh, I'm still working.
And then a year later,
today.
sold the other half for another $500 million. Both to Heineken.
Something
No
light,
shit.
like nothing.
I went out to California shortly after that.
Yeah.
Karl,
And I said-
do you have water? I can rinse these out. Do you have a tap line with water?
No, just put them on
Just new glassware?
new glassware.
All right.
Keith, I'll have one of those Lagunitas too, the tropical.
So I went
Should
out
this be
there
recorded?
and I
Are you
said,
going to say shitty things about them?
IPA or crispy?
where should we go to a local brewery?
Okay.
And people said, don't go to Lagunitas, they're a sellout. They sold for $1 billion.
Yeah.
$1 billion.
Who's the other? Someone
How
else?
can you not be a sellout?
Yeah.
If somebody came in, and I think it was, Christ, who makes all those beers in California?
Stone?
No. I can't think of it.
This is great radio.
Dogfish.
They,
Yes, not-
but they said,
Ballast Point.
no, but we're getting closer. Up San Francisco area. They said,
Sierra Nevada.
no, that's way north.
I'm just naming California beers.
They said, don't go there, they're a sellout. I said, you're telling me that if somebody came in and said, I'll give you $500 million for this place, you wouldn't sell it? Well, you know,
If someone gave me $75 for this podcast,
Jesus
I'd sell
Christ.
it.
They're a sellout.
Yeah, but I don't know why people get so mad about that. I mean, like most.
Isn't that your goal?
Yeah.
You start a business, somebody buys it, and you're rich.
So that dude from Death and Co. It's a super trendy bar that like everyone goes to because it's super trendy. The owner is like, that's what I'm doing. I'm building up this company to sell it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm making it trendy where everybody wants to go to, so I can sell the company and
Yep.
make a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
I think it's just people. It's weird. Like there's a fine line between where people want to support what you're doing and then are jealous that you've done it.
Yes.
I don't know if Karl's at
All
that.
right, let's start this episode.
Welcome to BarTalk. I am your host, Andy of Inebriart. I'm joined today by Dan Mahoney of Stats.
Full episode this time, baby.
Yeah,
Let's keep it focused.
yeah, that never happens. Karl Heine of Tulsa Tap and Tavern, New World Tavern.
Hello, everybody.
Keith Piesco of Trillium.
Yeah, hello.
And Elizabeth, also of Trillium.
Hi.
See, you have to talk when if I say your name. So let's talk craft beer. I don't feel like we have two craft beer people. Are we done with IPAs? There. Let's start there.
You'll never be done with an IPA, but I think people are enjoying different things more often than they did when the IPA craze was happening.
I couldn't tell you the last time I bought an IPA.
Yeah, I'm IPA out, dude.
I see.
As we sit here drinking IPAs.
No, this is a Weinstefana.
Mine's sour.
I got a half an IPA.
Listen,
Plus, you didn't buy
your
that
shit
one.
settles too quick.
I got like 2/3, so yeah. Oh, that's pretty good.
But yeah, the IPA craze, I think, 6-7 years ago when it was the palate wrecker, the hoppiest you can get, and how many IBUs is it, and what kind of friggin' hops are you using. I think that's kind of come down a little bit. And I think people still are drinking IPAs, but they're drinking drinkable IPAs.
Yeah.
Before it was, hey, if it's 12%, that's what I want. Now it's like,
All right.
oh, if it's served in a little glass, can I get something else?
If I could taste anything after this beer, I don't
That's
want
right.
it.
I tell you, the thing that I see when I'm working at the beer cellar is, I don't know if it's everyone trying to distinguish themselves from everybody else or trying to catch the new thing, where customers are like, what's a barn lager? What's a California surf lager? And I'm like, fuck if I know. Right? It sounds made up.
Andy, it's in the name. It's a lager you drink in the barn.
Yeah.
A lager you
You
drink
can't
while
drink
surfing.
a barn while you're
Yeah.
surfing or a surf while you're barning.
What's
like,
the difference
Toilet
between...
wine's wine. You drink in the toilet. That's it.
No, that's swish.
What's the difference between prison beer,
Trailer Park Boys
lager,
switch.
and table Czechoslovakian cider table? It's just the names are getting so
One's made
fucking...
at a table in Czechoslovakia. One's made in a prison. In a toilet.
But people are coming out with
I don't understand either.
people are coming out
I'm
with
sorry.
the weirder and weirder names just to get people to drink their beer.
Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it
There
works.
we were kind of talking in the break here, but you know how like the market is just like the wealth of knowledge to make a good IPA these days is very vast. So like you could make the best IPA in the world, and it still ain't going to take you to the top because someone else next to you is doing one maybe not as good, but not that much worse. But I saw a beer, and I don't remember who it was, but it was a pastry lager. And it made me cringe for a second because I'm like, I do not want a lager that's like the thick flavor that's like a pastry stout, which we know and enjoy. But then I thought, it was like, man, like talk about trying to reinvent something like that hasn't really been done. Like you don't have a theme or a trend of pastry lagers. So if someone's trying to make a crisp lager with blueberry and graham cracker, it's like, okay, shit, mate. If that catches on, they're the guys. Like you have all these New England IPAs, Alchemist, Lawson's, all these big dogs that like coined New England IPAs that like started a trend here. So who's going to make the next trend?
Right.
But sometimes
are you going to try pastry
And
lager?
if we knew what the next trend was, we'd all be rich.
And that's why someone's trying it. Someone tried to make a pastry lager.
I mean, you
Like,
can
let's
even go
make that
down.
big.
You know, we talked about the seltzers before. If you told me when the seltzers first came out that they'd be as popular as they are now, I would have bet
I'm
everything
sorry
I had
I didn't
against
bring
them.
you one, by the way. I
asshole.
forgot. I brought you 3 other beers, my guy. Go to hell.
But what's the next thing now? It's ready to drinks. I mean, we always had ready to drinks. They were just never popular, and now all of a sudden they're becoming popular.
Yeah.
I mean, they had those 15, 20 years ago, ready to drinks, but nobody drank them.
You're talking like
they
the
weren't
Jack
ready.
and Cokes
You
and
could-
Yeah, Jack and Coke
Yeah.
in cans, right?
It's so like when I say I'm IPA'd out, like I don't really like I'll still drink an IPA, but that's the stuff when I go to like a packaging store. That's kind of what I look for is either like seltzers that I know I'll like lime margarita seltzers are my absolute vice, or like Jack and Coke or Dark and Stormies or Moscow Mules that are already canned and good to go.
Right.
Why would I not? They're right. I don't have to do anything, and it's already there.
Which is great if you're out in the boat or on the beach. But
Exactly.
I don't know if I would go into a bar and say, "Give me that canned
Yeah,
cocktail."
no.
because I'd rather have something that you're making.
Right.
Have a real Jack and Coke than a canned Jack. and
Yeah,
Coke.
no, this is only for me
But
to
people
go.
are doing it. People are doing it.
So I will get I like the tequila soda ones, or I don't like the vodka soda ones a lot, but I'll drink them because everyone only has those.
Sure.
But I'll drink those instead of getting an actual tequila soda, so I am not blackout drunk.
Right. Because
Yeah.
it's only 5%.
Yeah.
Right.
So I like that change and stuff like that. But
And it keeps your friend bartender from being too friendly and pouring you a fucking crazy drink where you're like, great, now I'm having
Yeah, but
one
you're not,
drink.
Yeah.
you're not helping anybody by overpouring.
Oh, I know, but people still do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
and I'm not
that's
saying,
so- yeah.
I'd
like,
rather
I
sit
get
at the
it.
bar and have 5 drinks than sit at your bar and have 3 drinks and be hammered.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's there
depends
are
on the day I'm
places.
trying to have.
That's true.
Emphasis on day.
Yeah.
Like there are places that I know that I can go, and if I order a Jack and Coke, we're talking Jack with a splash of Coke.
Right.
Well, first of all, you should be an adult and stop drinking Jack and Coke.
I'm just using an example. I like cocktails. I
want that
prefer,
when I'm-
but
when I'm
well,
drinking.
no, but that's
That's not what
exactly
I'm
what
looking
he's
for.
saying.
Yeah.
Is like it stops you from having that option even possible.
Yes, that's
so like
right.
if my friend wants to be really nice and hook it up and give me like a crazy heavy pour of Blanton's or Mezcal, where I'm like, okay, this is what I want. I didn't want 4 fingers worth.
Right.
I just want your normal 2-finger, your normal pour. But like instead of getting that, I have something that I know is a controlled amount in that can, and no one can over or underdo it.
That is true.
And it's got to take out that customer complaint of like, there's not enough alcohol in
Yeah,
this.
this tastes just like juice. I didn't.
So
even
you
get
go to a
that.
bar to buy a canned cocktail because you don't want to be overserved.
or underserved.
No.
No.
That's not why I buy them.
Okay. Well, I'm saying
If I'm
the
going to a
benefits
bar where I
there
think
for
might be
both.
underserved, I'm not going to that bar.
Well, that's okay. That's fair. Well, that's why I don't go to most bars in Boston.
I was going to say, now everyone knows how to get Dan out of the bar.
Come to the wrong place, buddy.
I know that. I know what I want to go to. Yes.
Depends on the place. Once again, depends on what kind of day I'm trying to have.
But you're right. I mean, it is a controlled drink.
Yeah.
I
You know
just
what you
have a
get.
hard time because I'm old and
No, I don't
like-
disagree. I like the idea. I
Wait, that
like
he's
the
older.
craft.
That his point.
Both.
what the fuck?
Okay.
Oh, he's definitely old. He's definitely old. No, the craft of a cocktail is like that's like one of my favorite places in Maine. Whenever I'm up there, is Blythe and Burroughs, which is this unbelievable cocktail bar with cocktails that I wouldn't have even come up with in my head, and they are masters of it. And I like the craft of watching it be made, making it made perfectly, versus like, oh yeah, I'll just get like a Jameson and ginger and have it be too much ginger, too much Jameson. I don't want necessarily it pre-made. I want someone to make it because I like the craft of it. But to his point, I know that if it's a place that I'm going to, that I have friends that are there that are going to be very nice to me, and I don't want to necessarily go into Southie and get blackout on 3 drinks because they've just given me straight alcohol and a splash to call it that.
Right.
I get these cans, I'm good to go.
Booze and food coloring.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that Dan's right, but it depends on what kind of day
Oh my
you're
God,
having.
you're so right.
I know,
on that.
like, it
really.
sucks. But like, if you're going out on a
My
date,
work here's done.
but if you're going on a date, you want like a really nice fancy cocktail. If I'm hanging out with you idiots, I want something in a can because I know it's gonna be a long
the
fucking
shots
day.
of 1942 we did the other day were not fancy, Andy.
I remember that. So I don't
I think
really
the
remember
original
the
question is, what's the next trend?
What do you think the next trend is?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I'm here for the red.
She's like, don't make me talk.
Okay, thanks, Elizabeth.
All right, cut that.
Yeah, she's not welcome back on the show. Man.
Long time listener, first time caller.
You can say anything you want other than not saying things.
But really, what is
Nice.
the next
We won't
thing?
have another
I have no idea.
Oh, that's right.
controls your
I'm
fate.
just joking.
Your fate. I don't know. That's the thing is like you have people trying different things like barn lager. I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's
I
something
already
to do.
told you.
That's right. It's made in a barn. I
No,
apologize.
you drink it in a barn.
Right. Forgive me. Oh, I'm
What
an
if it's a
idiot.
shed?
But like,
That's Shed Mountain Ale.
Wait, what if the shed is by the seashore?
Sea
the sea
Ale.
the sea shanty. Oh, perfect.
What else you got, Andy?
But like I haven't seen another attempt at a trend, and I wouldn't even call it that they tried to make a trend. I just hadn't seen something that's like we know pastry stouts, we know lagers, we know these words, but I'd never seen the word pastry lager on a can before. Like to me, that's like, hey, if this takes off, we got a trend, and guess where it started? Right here. Whoever it was, credit to you.
A couple years
'Cause
ago,
it really,
there was a jelly donut IPA.
just pastry,
Not
anything
good.
is not normally my thing. But I will say
That was
'cause I'm-
Rogue back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Voodoo Donuts.
Yes, Voodoo. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
But whoever this was, I can't remember who made it. It was like a blueberry muffin lager, and I wanted to hate it, and I probably wouldn't drink more than a can at a time, but I didn't. Like it wasn't that.
But if you
I'm
can't-
ashamed to admit it wasn't that bad.
If-
but I wanted
If you
to hate
can't
it.
drink more than one, it's not a trend.
Correct. Well, I mean,
Think all the way
not
back
for me,
to-
but I'm also a beer guy. For someone that sees something in a flavor that they like, which is kind of a huge help to the pastry stout world in general, it's like someone that's like, ooh, I really like coffee cake. Like I know that has this has flavors of coffee cake. I'll try that because I know I like that dessert. Me personally, blueberry muffin, as far as like a pastry goes, that's my number one thing. So I'll try anything that says blueberry muffin, whether it be a stout, an IPA. I probably won't like it, but that's what I'm saying is that trend is when it caters to more people that are always trying to buy it, and then it just picks up and up and up. But
If I was going to have to pick a trend, it's something I see we sell more and more and more and more of, and to a much younger crowd than I'd expect, mead.
yeah,
Just all those Ren Fair people.
Nobody's drinking
The key
mead.
things.
I like mead. I don't go out and buy mead, but I
Right.
like mead.
We sell more than I would ever expect.
It's a tough drink.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, I don't really think it's that tough.
Okay.
It's not.
I'll
It's
take
not.
that back.
I think it's,
Oh, wait, that one's
I think
short,
it's really
so-
good, but it's I don't know.
It's a lot.
It's
Yeah.
I think
very
your bang for your buck is not there because it is way more expensive.
Yeah, it's pricey.
Well, plus,
Yeah, but
it's like a.
it's like 40% alcohol.
And you open it, you have to finish it, isn't it?
yeah, it's
Yeah, but you
pretty.
can get,
It's
like,
not a
canned
resealable
syrup,
thing.
yeah.
Oh, so that
Yeah.
I've only remember like the big fucking like wine bottle sizes, but they're carbonated, so you pop that shit.
What are we, Vikings?
I mean,
well,
dude, I'm telling you,
yeah.
Vikings are very trendy right now. You asked what the next trend is. This is not Viking. This is
Yeah,
lazy.
you're Viking.
This is not
You're Viking. But it's just as far. It's funny to see because when I moved back from Florida to Massachusetts, Karl, this is where I started coming because we went and saw. I know he's up on this wall right there. Mark T. Small every
Yep.
Thursday
yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Me and my buddy Jack, we would come down here. I was in the beer club. I have a plaque. And IPAs were at first very hard. They were the last ones I did, but as I started drinking more of them here, I was like, oh shit, I really like all of these.
Yeah.
Kept going. New England started booming because that was 2013, 2014. And what, a decade later, I'm like, I'm just so done with New England. I'm back to West Coast. Give me Lagunitas. Give me Dogfish Head. Give me.
See, I'm more on a Pilsner. Give me a nice.
Oh well,
crisp
as far as
Pilsner.
as far as IPAs go, I'm now more West Coast than I ever was East Coast because I'm so East Coasted out. But I love. They're still delicious. Like that was fantastic. But for me now, I'm on lagers.
Yeah.
I'm very much a Pilsner. Give me a lager. Give me something crisp.
And I think if you have a good Pilsner from any brewery,
because
that's one of the hardest things to make.
Yes, it is.
That if they do a Pilsner right, then they can do anything else right.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest deciding factor when it comes to beer now is what's the ABV? What's the ABV?
Yeah.
We travel to so many breweries now that I'm like, I can't get shit-faced in Amesbury.
Right.
You know? So it's like, what's your lowest ABV that's not a sour is usually how I order a beer.
Right.
You know?
It's like there's so many breweries now. Like you have the whole South Shore Brew Trail where it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to start at Vitamin C and do a 9% triple IPA and then go, all right, now I'm going to go to Widow, then I'm going to go down to Stellwagen.
Let's talk about that.
Untold.
We've been in we know the beer industry.
Yeah.
We might not be experts, but we're professionals because we're paid for it.
Yeah.
I've been to bars where there's 8-9% beers and they're serving it in a 16-ounce pint. Or they say, would you want a 20 or a 16 ounce? I'm like, a 20. That's 9% beer. I'm going to go blind before I even leave here.
That's awful.
And I think that's... So, excuse me, at Tolson's and New Worlds, but Tolson's more, if there's a beer over 8%, we're serving it in a 12 ounce.
Sure.
So we only have 12 and 16s. Mm-hmm. We have 20s, but only for the beer club members. But I'm serving it in a small glass.
Yeah.
People come in and say, I just went down the street and they serve it into a 16 ounce.
And then you say, well, go the fuck
No,
I'm like, well, then they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's dangerous. That's like for us specifically, like we have a certain size, either 16 or 10 for each beer that we have. There's not like, do you want it in a 20? Or do you can get a smaller version of it. So that's what I like a lot is we started doing small pours last year where it's like, all right, I know that I want to try vanilla pot and kettle. It's a 10-ounce pour, but I don't know if I want that much of it because it's a little bit higher ABV. I just want to try it. 5 ounce, perfect. But we set these for basically all those reasons. It's like, some of these are 10%. I am not giving you a 16-ounce 10% beer. No way in hell. Also, some of it is just way more expensive, like the daily serving. That's only 4%.
Right.
But that is such an expensive beer to make. So it's like, we kind of pick what I don't choose the sizes. It comes from above, but I think they do a damn good job of being like, no, when we have plain over car over train over boat, a quadruple IPA that's 12%, no, you do not get the option to get that over 10. And parts of me wish we didn't do it in the 10. But
it's crazy. A brewer background.
Yeah, sure.
You know, where you are, I mean, if you go to Joe Schmo's restaurant down the street and they're carrying, let's call it main lunch, and you'll get a 20-ounce of main lunch, you're like...
What was the Dogfish beer?
Yeah,
was it 120 minute?
It was
120 minute.
It was like 15 to 20%.
Yes.
It just had a range of, so you didn't even know.
When the Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale first came out,
that was my favorite beer here for a while.
Yeah.
I had so much one night because I was drinking Talls that friends called the next day to check on me. How are you doing?
And there's another one that's 8%. We pour it in a 10-ounce glass. I mean, you can have more than one. You're glad to have it, but a lot of people have 2 or 3, and that's it. You don't get a 20-ounce glass.
Because some of it's just the signal. You know, like you slide the small glass across the bar, and the other person's like, "Oh,
yeah."
Well, I have people all the time because on our menu it's written as like if you get a 13% pastry stout, or just a stout in general because some of them aren't, but 15% pours, and it says 5 ounces on it. We have these tulip glasses that are 10-ounce pours, and you get half of that. And I had one guy ask me once, he's like, "What'd you kick the keg?" And I go, "No, man, it's a 5-ounce pour." And he goes, 5 ounces? I go, "My guy, you just got," and we have one, it just kicked last week, unfortunately, RIP Sweet Prince, that was 16.2%. And I go, "I'm sorry, in what world do you think that I would be comfortable giving anyone 10 ounces of a 16% beer?" He goes, "Oh, I didn't realize it was 16%. I go, "Dude, it's amazing. The beer's great." But yeah, he goes, "Great, got it." He came back and goes, "Well, I'm going to go now," because that was my nightcapper at 3 in the afternoon. But it's one of my favorite nights that I ever had here. Mallet Brothers were playing, and you had Curio on draft.
Yep.
And it was the perfect amount, but I was feeling so good. I had like 4 of them, and I went, whoa. I gave my friend Jack my keys. I go, this was a lot, but it wasn't like I was drinking like 20 ounces of Curio, which is, I think, like 11%. It was the appropriate amount. I just had a lot of them because Curio is unbelievable. Shout out to Allagash Curio. That beer is fantastic.
For those that really aren't sure about the percentage of alcohol, the way I learned it was I was always a Bud drinker.
Yeah.
Bud. Then, you went to Bud Light and Guinness, whatever.
Yep.
Then I started working for a beer distributorship, and I think it was not Natural Light, just Natural, right?
Yeah.
And it was, I think, 6.5%. From 4.2 to 6.5, maybe 7 at the most. And I think I had 5 of those, thinking that, it's just same thing. What's the difference? 2%.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yep.
It makes a difference.
Man, I'll tell you what, later on at night when that TV was bouncing around my room, I knew I had a little too much.
And that's the thing, is it sounds like a small,
it's a big difference.
Yeah. Especially when you have volume of that.
Yep.
Like, yeah, sure, if you had one Bud Light or one Natural, you're not going to get a difference. But when you drink 5 of one or 5 of the other, holy crap, you're going to get hit a lot harder, lot quicker. And it's not going to be fun.
No.
Or it might, depending on what you like.
It'll be fun a while, yeah.
What kind of day
Well, this kind of rolls into the question. I don't know if you want to talk about it, that you asked me right when I got here about the Irish
was
guys.
it where this fuck is Dan Gee?
Do you want to?
So we had 3 guys show up, older guys, in their 50s anyway.
Like, you started with the 3 Irish guys walk into my
these
bar,
3 Irish
and I'm
guys
like,
walk in.
here we go.
So they came in.
Tommy Doyle and Mick.
We opened at 11. I think they were there by 11:30 because it was a rainy day. They were going to go golfing. They decided to go to the bar. Irish brogues, everything. Nicest people. They drank Guinness from 11:30 to I left there at 6. They were still there drinking. None of them had anything to eat. And they weren't planning on going anywhere. Now, they were feeling good. They weren't drunk. They weren't belligerent. They were very happy. They were singing, got the crowd singing. Everybody loved it. It was a very, very good afternoon atmosphere the whole day. I mean, it was just a lot of fun. People were talking to each other, laughing, telling jokes, singing. It was great. Let's just assume they all had rides home for right now.
Sure.
Whether they did or not, I don't know, because I left and they were still there.
I was like, someone else's problem.
But I might have shut them off if they were jerks.
Sure.
But I didn't shut them off because everybody was having a great time.
Yeah.
That's probably a bad decision on my part. But where do you draw that line?
Well,
Where do you make it, like, again, everybody was having a blast. I know they were drinking a lot.
Right.
I assume they had a ride home. I'm not sure. Let's just assume that they did.
They might have Ubered.
But Ubered. Should I have shut them off? Now I'm thinking of it today because it happened yesterday. Geez, maybe I should have said. But they weren't hammered. They were controlled. They weren't loud in an obnoxious way. So where do you make that distinction where this guy's a jerk, I'm going to shut him off, but these guys are having a good time and they're not bothering anybody, I'm just going to let them keep going?
It's tough because especially where you go, and she can attest to this on my birthday because all my friends really hurt me at Speedwell.
He said not being a jerk.
Sure, sorry. Forgive me. But like if you're sitting down the whole time, it's not going to hit you till you stand up. If you're standing up the whole time, it's not going to hit you till you sit down. I don't know why, and maybe that's made up physics on my part, but I know it from experience. It's happened. You have people sitting there that aren't really doing anything more than just sitting down, so they're not using energy. They're not able to like try and stand and get their bearings down. Like for me, when we were at a couple weeks ago, we were at Speedwell and BBC, and for me, the whole night had just been drinking. People were giving me shots. It was a great time, and it literally wasn't until I sat down because I gave her my keys beforehand. And I sat down in my car being like, oh, absolutely fine. And then like a brick, it hit me in the head. So if I'm on the bar,
It was
which
a rough night.
if I'm on the bar and I see, if I'm just like looking at tabs or trying to help out because I'm on a bartender, but I manage the bartenders, I manage the bar, that's fine. But if I look at a tab, because if I recognize someone's been sitting there for a while and I see him like, okay, hey, like this person's been here for quite a bit. I look at their tab, they have a bunch of pours. I usually check with them. I'm like, hey, have they been sitting down the whole time? Have they stood up? Have they gone to the bathroom? Have they eaten anything? Because that's when you really need to start to consider, like, they might be okay right now. That doesn't mean they're going to be as soon as they stand up, because that switch could get flipped. Yeah. And that's where, like, if these guys are just chilling, but Guinness is also a very different thing. It's only, what, like 6%, I think Guinness is?
Less than 4.
Is it? Oh, 4.6. Yeah. It's not 6.4, it's 4.6. That's right.
Just like Karl.
Yeah. That's a very...
I don't think that's funny.
They called him tall.
Sorry, 4.48, Karl. He's being an ass. But that's the thing. It's like there's just so many tough social cues. If no one's standing up and if it's not hitting them, it's like, where do you go? Because if you're like concerned about serving them, they've had a good amount, but they're still completely coherent. They're fine. They're not being boisterous. They're just completely normal. That's such a tough.
Everyone's different too.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's gonna hit me differently. It hits you.
Like those guys, if they are from Ireland and having been there and seeing that the Irish stereotype of Guinness is pretty dang true. It's everywhere. It's what they drink. It is my favorite drink to drink over there. These guys have been used to putting down Guinnesses. So, like, okay, for you and me, I don't know the number they had, but I'm just going to make a guess. Being there from whenever to 6:30, maybe like 10 Guinnesses each, hypothetically. That would put me in like, well, nope, I'm good, because 4.6% is still 10 of those. That's a lot. Right. But for someone that might have been drinking it their whole lives or having a different culture with Guinness, might not hit them the same way it's going to hit us. So, like, it is such a weird thing to gauge.
And I think we've all heard those stories about tolerance where, like, you'll hear, Joe Schmo left the bar the other night and got popped for DUI, and you're like, he sounded perfectly fine.
Right.
And he was, quote-unquote, perfectly fine, but he's such a high tolerance that his normal operating system is at above the legal alcohol limit.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to throw out the idea that people function differently on different persons, but, like, at the same time, like you just said, like, if someone's completely coherent walking out, like, you can do the straight line foot to foot, they're not jibber-jabbering, they are actually coherent, but their content is much higher. It's like, yo, you're still drunk. You still shouldn't be driving. Right. So it's a tough thing to be like, hey, man, you've had 6 double IPAs in 3 hours. You've had a pizza. You've had some bar pretzels, whatever you've had, but, like, you seem okay. However, they could still technically get booked, charged, because they're...
But then what do you do? Do you say there's a drink limit for everybody? Everybody's the same drink limit?
But that's not what TIPS teaches you. The TIPS certification teaches you literally to gauge... Like, there's so many social cues. It's behavior, social cues, like,
because you can have someone that doesn't ever drink, has one beer in there.
Yeah, we know those people.
Right. Yeah. I was going to look at...
And there's other people there's other people that have drinks and they're fine, and all of a sudden they're hammered. There's no in between. There's no, hey, that guy might be having he went from he's fine to
fish.
No, fish pretty good.
But that's, like, for me, like, again, you can attest to it or correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, we started at Speedwell, went to BBC, and then leaving BBC, I felt completely fine.
You were totally fine until we got McDonald's, and then you were yelling
I was gone.
Your order.
Yeah. Yes. But that's all the alcohol hitting you later on.
Yeah. Right, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Is like, I'm moving around, and all of a sudden I sit down, and it just sinks. Versus sitting down, it's not going anywhere. Then you stand up and start moving around, and it just... this is not science that makes any sense, but I'm just
I call that drinking momentum.
Elaborate, please.
Like, I find, when I go out in Plymouth, I like to bar hop.
Yeah, of course.
Once I set roots in somewhere, fucking wheels come off.
Right.
But if you're up moving around, even if it's just you're walking from place to place, that spaces out your drinks. But I just think moving around just keeps your blood flowing. Some kind of science shit. Like,
well, that's something like, I don't know the science behind it, but clearly there's something at work, because I know that until I sat down in the passenger seat of my car, I was absolutely fine. and then 2 minutes later, I don't remember anything because it just hit me like someone just ice bucket challenged me. Like I got soaked in.
Like the guy in the car from The Wolf of Wall Street when he's driving. He gets
I went as slow. Somehow I got home by the grace of God, not a scratch on that car. Oh my God, not true. But that's the thing. It's like it's, and I feel like it's the opposite. So like I'm always concerned if I see, hey, there's a guy that no one has brought any attention to this person. They seem totally fine. Like they're talking like they were when they got here. Is that going to be who they are when they stand up?
Yep.
But like you can't cut someone off or like, without any kind of scrutiny or issue if they're not displaying any behavior of like, I've had too much. Because if they haven't, there's really not much you can do.
And like that night that we went out and did the San Diego's thing.
That was the daytime.
That day. It was the day. No, I kind of got here later. It was kind of nighttime by the time I got here. Evening. Better. Like, everything was fine. Grand. BBC, great. After being in the BBC for a while, it's kind of like clips here and there. Like, and just everything caught up.
I was like that in Vegas after we went to the Tiki Bar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was understandable. We had a lot of tiki drinks.
We had 3.
I we had 4.
There you go.
I don't know. I couldn't see them.
Yeah. Who
point.
knows what we were drinking? Do you guys want to do some questions?
Yeah.
Let's do some questions. Because I had one come in from YouTube, and I told the person I was going to do it on the next episode, and I forgot about it. Sandeep wants to know how to take bar inventory accurately, visual check open bottles, or weigh the open bottles. So how do you guys do?
So it's all
How much
about,
time do you have on your hands?
Yeah, it's about
I have a quick answer
consistency.
to this. But you go first.
Consistency. Like if either I should do it or Keith should do it. Like if I count differently than Keith, then your numbers gonna be fucked up. So if I do 1 week, it could be different than his. So
do you do it by weight or like?
for bottles, we used to do by like percentage wise.
Quarter, half.
Yeah. Yep. That's the same with us since we introduced our spirits. When we count them at the end of the night, it is a visual. Obviously, there's a line of where halfway is, and you kind of gauge from there. Track inventory of that. Luckily for us, we only have 3 spirits to count, and there's only like 2 or 3 bottles open at a time versus like the backstock we have versus something like this where Karl, I think I can count 30 bottles right there quickly.
I'll probably be able to count that.
I can't count it. I can just assume that it's about 30.
He's heard the
Yeah, I've heard the number. I'm pretty sure it's like 4 or 5 tens worth is 30.
Yep.
And I can see that.
4 or 5 feet's worth.
But yeah, no, definitely bottles are more visual. Kegs obviously have to be weighed, and that's what we were talking about the other one where it's like you literally have to track every drop to make sure inventory is on point.
Now, you're a little different because you're,
He's more
I'm going to say a brew pub, and that might be the one.
Sure,
where you make your own product.
Yeah.
Now, Dan, at a place like yours, if your owners say, listen, you're well within your parameters of the percentage that you want to have, meaning if you want to be 25% of your booze and your numbers that you're buying every week is 25% of what you're selling, do you really want to go through and do all that inventory just to tell you that you're on par with what you have? So are you doing inventory every day just to do inventory, or are you doing inventory every day to find out where you're missing opportunities?
It's actually a really good question.
I think you'd only do it every day if you start to miss. Like you start going above your percentage.
So if I have, let's say, Guinness, and I'm doing 20-ounce pours, that's what, 80 pours to a Guinness keg?
Yeah.
And I'm having my yield, why would I want to spend my time doing inventory on something I'm getting my yield for anyway? So there's not a problem.
Yeah, right.
So that's how we do it here. If we have a problem, we'll do what we call a sting. We'll count everything on one day. And then the next day, come in and count it again and see what the sales were to see where the problem is, but only if we have a problem.
Now, we talked earlier about spillage. It might even been the last episode.
Yeah.
You're like, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
like, what is spillage? And
That's a great question.
Yeah,
What is spillage?
Spillage to me is there's a couple of instances where it can occur. An actual, like the definition, a spill, and it's either not counted for, not reported, or just we don't track it. Or if we're pouring a beer and you finish pouring and there's a little bit of runoff, any bit of spill that comes out of the faucet after you pour it, or before it that's not tracked, that to me is spill. Something.
Yeah, but if you're not tracking it, then it's not spillage because you're not putting it in the system as spillage.
Well, so there's I
mean, I understand the definition.
Yeah, no,
but,
yeah,
How do you? I guess what the question is: if you have a spillage tab,
sure.
What is it that you're putting under that tab?
Okay.
A waitress walks by and she drops the whole 6 drinks. That to me is spillage.
Oh yeah. Oh, so
Right?
yes.
That to me is spillage.
So we don't normally start a spillage tab. Normally, it's like if a server spills a drink, they usually come to us right away and they say, "Hey, this is a spill. I had to remake it. Can you comp this one out?" Sure, but it's comped it out, and we put the reason for the comp as spill or dropped, whatever.
Which I would argue that's not a comp. Comp is anything that you give away.
Yes.
You're not giving away that spillage. You're just tracking the spillage.
Well, so you can't.
So we don't put it under comp. That would be our different. It would be comp spillage.
So we when it comes to our like tracking of inventory, if it's sold and gone and nothing has to be adjusted, perfect.
Yep.
We have 2 options aside from that: a void or a comp. A comp is inventory that cannot go back into effect. You spill a beer, I can't put that back in the keg. So you have to comp it out. It's gone. It's gone. A void is if someone misrings something and before it's poured, we didn't pour it. So it's a void, so that inventory goes back in the system. So if I have 2 pours left of this beer, someone rings in and they didn't mean to push that button, the bartenders haven't made it, great, we haven't used that inventory, so we void it out, it goes back up to 2 versus 1.
So my question would be, why don't they just delete it out so you don't see it?
We don't have like a delete. We use toast.
So your void, we do too. So, but we use delete and void are 2 different things. So delete would be, I ordered a IPA, but it was supposed to be a lager. I put the wrong button in. Oh, wait, don't pour that. Pour a lager. So I go back out to the computer and I hit delete. Nobody sees it, and I key in the lager.
Okay.
Where it would be a void means I gave a guy 2 beers and he ran out in his tab. I would void that. So it means I poured those 2 beers and there's no compensation for those beers. Where delete would be,
but see how
hey, I pressed the wrong button, delete, and go back.
But here's the thing. You poured those beers. Oh, well, if he drank them, it's different. I guess that's... But no. So even if that beer was drank and he was gone, you void with toast, and through the system there, that void puts that amount back into inventory. So if we do monthly inventory. So at the end of the month, if I haven't voided or comped properly, my inventory is going to be off.
Right.
Because if I comped beer that wasn't consumed or poured, then that means that I'm
void
down
puts
to
it back and a comp takes it out.
Exactly. So a spill, we're taking it out because it's gone. I can't put it back.
Right.
Void is if someone, like if you ordered Toad Shade and before the bartender cracked it, you went, wait, actually, I meant the daily servant.
Right.
Okay, we void this, so this can goes back in it. So it sounds like the same thing, just different means of doing it. But yeah.
But yeah, to me, spillage, like the true definition of spillage is somebody spilled the beer. If you're giving somebody a drink on the house, you're buying it for them, however you do, you don't put it under spillage.
It's comp.
You would put it under comp.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, owner's comp, manager comp, nice guy comp, whatever.
Now, I'm the customer. I come into Trillium or Tolson's or whatever. Bartender puts my drink down. I knock it over.
That would be spillage.
Spillage, yeah.
And what if it was mostly gone?
Well, then you have to use your own judgment. But I would still put it under spillage, or I would say, you're out of luck, kid. If you spilt it and there was 2 drops on the table and you're like, I spilt my beer, I'm like, we just spilled it.
Yeah. Like for inventory, it's never going to be 0.00 to perfection.
Yeah.
So if I end up, like I said, I was just doing inventory last night. I have a beer that kicked earlier this month, and if 1.0 is a full keg, it said that as of last night, I should have 0.13 of that beer. That's pretty damn good to me. Because for that exact example of I don't have a way to comp out specifically 4 ounces of a beer when we go by 5 ounce, 10 ounce, 16 ounce, or 2 ounce pours. Well, all right, mathematically I can do 2. A number that doesn't exist in our system. So there's always going to be a little room for error. Right. I'm trying to get as close to 0.00 as I can, but that's almost never going to happen.
Sure, because even just the runoff.
And there's a lot where you have
runoff, or if there's any kind of like issue where like there's a pocket in the keg that it's just bringing up, like true.
It's all
like,
foam.
it's
You get a little
foam.
hole in the airline,
like something that's more carbonated than the line was ready for. We have to adjust the pressure. So hey, we lost 3 pours of this beer. Maybe the bartender just.
But you'll never know if it's 3 pours because was it 3 pours of foam? Was it 3 pours of beer?
Exactly, because if you're
so you kind of judge. You
you
get that percentage that you want to hit.
Yep.
If a keg pours 120 beers and you get 117 out of it, I'm okay with
that's
that.
pretty damn good.
You know,
if
I'm
you're
okay.
getting 60,
but that's
correct.
But we've also had kegs that we said, I got 130 pours out of this.
Yeah,
and I'm
right.
thinking, how the fuck do we get 130 pours out of that thing?
Yeah.
Well, somebody said, oh, no, don't pour that, pour this. Okay, pour that, but they didn't really. You're kind of up, down, up, down.
Yeah.
Somebody wanted a Lagunitas IPA, but they served them the tropical IPA, but the guy kept it, and we just charged him for the wrong beer, but it's the same price, so nobody cares.
All right. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm going to do another question.
Yeah, please.
Is that okay with you?
Yep.
All right. Can a guest come back 4 or 5 hours later to claim the money they left on a bar?
What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm curious.
To me, it sounds like that's all it said. But
you paid cash.
Hypothetically,
you left the change on the bar, and then you left.
Yeah, no. Next question.
Yeah, I would also say probably not. There's no way to really honestly track.
I feel like I don't write the question.
No, I know. That's not
Stop
you.
yelling at me, Keith.
No. Listen, Carl's the one that yelled. Now I'm yelling.
It's just his voice.
Unfortunately, I'm
well
very
aware.
loud.
It's Kermit Frog voice.
Kermit the Frog. No, you cannot come back and get that money you left on
So
the
this
table.
one's from Iris, and I bring it up because I believe we had a similar conversation not too long ago. But what do you guys charge for high noons? In order for us to make a profit, we charge $10 per can.
How much are they buying it for?
I don't know.
I have no input on this.
But I feel like isn't
Better
high
seltzer.
noon fairly expensive on the whole canned cocktail?
But probably $10.
Yeah.
Probably around there.
Is that the standard?
Yeah, I mean, just make your margins. Whatever you're buying
Yeah.
it for, and whatever you want to make your margins, price it accordingly.
But is there like a cutoff to where you'd be like, I wouldn't stock that just because who's
Yes.
gonna
Oh,
pay
yeah,
for
for
that?
sure.
Yeah, if I have to have $16 for a case of a high noon make-alike,
right.
then I'm saying I don't want it.
What is high noon? How much are the cans ounces wise? Are they like 11,
12
12 ounces?
Oh, yeah. Whatever the little
11.2.
Yeah, it's 11.2. Yeah. So we have our seltzers at 16 ounces for $7. But the
The high noons aren't seltzers, right? They're the vodka ones.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. I
So
forgot.
yeah.
So
I mean, if
that's-
you're gonna, I would say $10 is not out of the realm.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are.
That was a 4-pack. I think it's like $20. And if you go to the liquor store, buy it.
Yeah.
So
So it seems accurate.
if not more than that.
Yeah. So be confident in your prices.
Yeah.
Yeah. They said if there's a percentage you have to charge. So
Right.
If that's too much, then it's not worth you carrying.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like your client, your customers are going to tell you if it's too much because they're just not.
And they're not going to buy it.
Yeah.
So you're not going to sell it.
Becca Cox. So tomorrow's our first day open. He said Becca.
He said Pekka Cox.
And we are waiting on our liquor license. We're wanting to do
That's
some
awkward.
cute mocktails until then. What are your favorite recipes? Do you have any favorite?
Yeah. Dumb. Nobody's
Water,
going to come in
like-
your place if you don't have booze.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's.
Yeah, I wouldn't rush. I would. I mean,
Don't rush it. Wait for the booze to come in.
Yeah, I would not make any effort to open early just to have
Mocktails.
non-alcoholic drinks because you're not going to get.
And the
people in.
non-alcoholic drinks are not cheap.
No,
You can make a mocktail, and it's the stuff that you're putting into it. You're going to charge $6-7 anyway
Yeah.
for a mocktail.
Well,
And
think
I
too,
am
without
not gonna
booze.
place that.
Yeah.
how mad's that person going to be like, oh, let me get a vodka soda. And you're like, nah, I just don't have booze. So
Right, I got-
what
I
the
got
fuck? I went
Xanax
there
in
and
the
they
back.
have booze. Like, it's just not worth you rushing to open.
Right.
No, it's a tough thing to hear, I'm sure, because you want to open, but I would not waste my time rushing opening day just to have non-alcoholic drinks that people that either don't know that that's what you're doing or do know that that's what you're doing won't necessarily rush in to get, because I'm not rushing in somewhere to get a juice.
Yeah.
Like, no. I'll go to
Next
the
question.
juicer down the street.
Well, we're almost. At
Last call.
Well, we're almost there. I was going to ask
Almost.
a simple
Last call.
question.
All right, ask a question.
Jesus. But have you guys had, like, I don't even know if I've had a mocktail, but I've had NAs.
At Tolson's, we do
Yeah.
mocktails.
Okay.
And the mocktails are more kid-driven.
Yeah.
So we have a Hawaiian Heine.
Yeah.
We have had
Of course he
like
does.
a
you do.
raspberry. Like
How
a
much fruit
raspberry.
is in that?
like a raspberry lime Ricky
Oh,
kind of
actually,
stuff.
Jameson.
And
So when
people
you-
will buy it, and it's
Yeah.
$6-7 for a drink.
Yeah.
That's a lot to spend for me. For give my kid a Mountain Dew for $3, and
Right.
that's all you can drink.
We don't do mocktails. We actually, it's funny, one of my...
But we do sell. I don't want to say quite a bit of them,
Sure.
but more than I
Enough to make it
thought.
worthwhile,
Yeah,
We've run into that though at work.
Yes.
People, because we have the cocktails now, and people are asking for the mocktail versions of it, and we don't have, or like we do have it, we can do
Yeah,
it.
but-
We just don't have like the price for it. So
There was one of my bartenders, Katie, told me one day, she goes, I had this little 7-8-year-old girl come up to me and she goes, do you have any mocktails for children? And she was like,
Here's a
how do you know
lemonade.
that word? Yeah.
It's like a vodka lemonade without the vodka. Here you go.
Yeah.
Here's the mocktail.
Yeah.
No, it was...
Here's a rum and coke.
Got on my hair. No, but it's people are asking for it, but I feel like that still doesn't, what's it called? Meet the
not-
need to do something like
Right. And it's not what your business is
like-
about.
No. If you're a bar,
that's not
You're
true
doing-
with our business though.
well, no,
Family
but we have juice and soda for people.
But it's interesting.
But it's
I see a lot of places
now,
that don't have mocktails but have NA beer. Why is that different?
That's not a mocktail
Yeah, but why is it different?
because an NA beer is not really NA, as we discussed.
True.
And two, it's a beer.
Yeah, it's not. It
A
is not
mocktail is like a raspberry lime Ricky,
Shirley Temple.
Shirley Temple.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's all mocktails.
Which is funny.
So
'cause-
again, you can come up with any drink you want. I mean, you can have a mudslide without booze.
Yeah.
And people will get it because you called it a mudslide.
Let's have a chocolate shake.
But I just love the idea that some of these drinks have been around for 100
it's-
years.
yeah, it's
Shirley
chocolate
Temple, and
milk
now
with
it's
ice.
a mocktail. It's like,
Yeah.
"God, fucking
Right, now it's a
Shirley
mocktail.
Temple."
Yeah.
Just ask me if you have a Shirley Temple. I can make you a
I'll make you a
what is
blue
it,
Shirley
cherry
Temple.
and
Right.
Sprite. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, so that's last call. It's part of the show where we go around and people can plug whatever they like. And I'm going to put Keith Piasco on the spot. You can start.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to say support Karl Heine in every business venture
Thank
he
you.
possibly makes, except
I
for
need
New
it.
World and Tolson's. After time.
Backroom casinos though. He's
Definitely go
I'm
to
a
Daniel's
lot more fun to
statistics.
drink with than I am not to drink with.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
that's
true.
true.
Yeah, that's true. No, I'm gonna support everyone here. Actually, go to Stats in Southie with Mr. Danielith Mahoney. Come to New Worlds where you have a lovely array of food and beer. I have not been to Tolson's yet, so I'll still plug it, even though I
Okay,
haven't been
stuff
there,
you don't have to
obviously.
mention.
Yeah, I'm going to mention it anyway. I'm going to say for me and Elizabeth, come down to Trillium. We have great beer, great food. Elizabeth does all the classes and the events, so please come and check those out.
She's
And
a genius.
Andy has so much damn cool stuff going on all the friggin' time that it's almost hard to consider that I don't do half as much as Andy does. We have inebriart stuff. He has these podcasts. He's at the craft beer cellar. So anything that Andy Driscoll can do, please make sure you go out of your way
Does Keith
to
owe us
support
money?
him.
I was saying,
I mean, this is it.
You keep mentioning that last
Also,
name.
I know,
one more. I have
being nice to Andy doesn't mean you can come back.
That's
on the
making me
podcast.
really uncomfortable.
no. That's it for me.
All right, that made me real. Dan, don't be nice.
All right, so I'm going to start my new brand of mocktails, where if you order one, I mock you.
I'm using that.
That's amazing.
Can I get a Shirley Temple? Sure you can, nerd.
Go to Karl's, get his Hawaiian Heine. If you want some booze in it, it's a dirty Heine. Fucking.
Is that what it is? The Dirty Heine?
It is now.
Can it? Like, why is it not?
Okay.
Karl, you want to plug your dirty honey?
Fucking Jen's been trying to do that for years.
It just keeps coming out.
I just want to say thank you, everybody, for listening and shutting us off before you got to this part of the podcast.
Yeah,
I'm
probably.
pretty sure people only listen to this part of the podcast.
Yeah, right.
What people?
That guy that you kicked out of the live show.
Well, I kicked him out because
He shit on Drew Bledsoe. No, he laughed at Drew Bledsoe. He didn't even shit on him.
right. So I'm gonna shout out Drew Bledsoe for that. Best quarterback ever to enter to the NFL. Brought the Patriots to where they should have been before they really made it big. Couldn't have done it without him.
You know, I used to see him in
And he's my
Blockbuster
height.
Bridgewater all the time. He's
Yeah.
a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
Oh yeah.
But so you like Drew Bledsoe so much? Why don't you carry Drew Bledsoe wine?
I thought you were going to ask him for
Because it costs like $75,000 a
Don't even know
bottle.
he-
Good.
Greatest quarterback of
Yeah,
all
I didn't
time,
know that.
Corey, yeah. Pay for quality.
My
And
No
clientele.
way it's that good. There's no way it's that good.
There's no way it costs that much either.
It's like $12 a bottle.
All right, next.
All right. You guys were so distracting. I wasn't even thinking what I should be plugging.
Oh,
So
yeah, blame us for you not making
yeah.
it.
So I'm gonna plug 3V. Friends of mine. Mike's a great guy. We work with them as well, and new neighbors to our new office up in North Plymouth. So if you're North Plymouth, around Cornish Park, check out 3V. Great food, good people, good drinks. And if you want to reach us, you can email us at bartalkcast@gmail.com with your questions, complaints, hate mail. We haven't gotten hate mail since Jordan really hasn't been on the show. I'm not saying that's a coincidence, but
Just saying.
you know.
People hate Carlo's face.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, people who hate Karl, the same age Karl, don't know how to email. And you can find us on all these social medias at.
That's rude. He hates all age ranges.
You can find us on all socials at BarTalkcast, and we'll catch you guys next time.
See ya.
Peace.
Elizabeth, did you want to add anything?
I'm good, thank you.
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/inebriart to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at inebriart.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at inebriart or at inebriart6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, BarTalk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebriart, and all the other shows on the Inebriart Network, which you can find at inebriart.com. Thanks again for listening.